Let's see. For my first date, if I'm being honest, I feel like I was more, which we'll get to this question later, but I feel like I was more patient and more supportive on the first date. And as you like to say, I extended more grace in the beginning of the relationship than I do now. Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Special Nicole, and here I provide you with videos on makeup, my micro locks, and lifestyle. So today I am joined with my lovely boyfriend of a whole year, and we are bringing something new to my channel, especially for the lifestyle portion. We are beginning a series called what, babe?
Love Inscribed.
That's right. Love Inscribed, and this is episode 1 of Love Inscribed. Alright, so my boyfriend is going to give us a little info on, or give y'all a little info on what this series is going to be about. So, babe.
So, when we were coming up with a name to describe our philosophy on relationships, one of the concepts that we constantly talk about is how people in our generation use the hashtag relationship goals and things like that. But we feel like it's important for us not to follow anybody else's blueprint, and that our story should be something original that's written by us. So that's where the word inscribed comes from. And so we just decided to do this series to kind of give you guys a taste of where our story is right now, and so far what's being written and what is yet to be written in terms of our love being inscribed. So we hope that you enjoy what you hear and that you'll tune in for all the episodes to come. So folks, for those of you who may not know or may know, I'm Brad Mitchell. Everybody knows me as Mitch. I'm 32 years old. Shouts out to all my 80s babies out here, doing it real muy grande. That's real big for y'all.
Big old.
But yeah, man. So I'm a specialist boyfriend. I work as a program coordinator for educational talent search. So I work with young students, helping them prepare and apply to college, while also housing my own business called Mitchpiration LLC. Within that business, I do branding work, photography work, and I do get hired to do speaking and professional engagements. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm just glad to be here, loving my woman. She's the best. And you'll learn more about me as this series goes on, man. I don't want to give away too much of the goods, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we're going to jump into our topic. We're going to tell you how we met first, and then we're going to jump into our topic for today's episode. All right, so boom, let's get into how we met. A little bit of the tea. So back in the day, in the year 2019, I was browsing on my little Facebook, and then I saw this gentleman in my people you may know. I didn't know him. And I basically halfway shot my shot, which I talked to y'all about this in my How I Knew He Was the One Get Ready With Me video. I linked that up above so you can go catch some of the story there. But I basically sent him a friend request, and then he
accepted the friend request and
immediately jumped in my DM. Immediately. Because he thought I was cute. He ain't gonna say that, but he thought I was cute. And then I guess the rest is unwritten. Is that what it is? How it goes? Yeah, that's how it started. So like I told y'all in the the Get Ready With Me video, where I talked about how I knew he was the one, shoot your shot, because it works. I didn't shoot the whole shot. I threw a pass, Is that?
She threw a lob and I dunked it. It was an alley-oop situation. An alley. They call it a lob. That's the new name for alley.
Really?
It's called a lob.
When did they change that?
I don't know. We just
A
call
lob.
it a lob.
What?
Big lob.
Okay. Alright, so we already told y'all how we met. Now we're gonna get into the real tea. If you want more info on how I knew he was the one, how he knew I was the one, I'm gonna link a video down below. I have a live girl chat with my best friend. She's also on YouTube. I will link her YouTube channel at Royally Slade. We do weekly live girl chats, and we had our men be guests on the show, and they were able to answer questions about how they knew that we were the women for them. So I'm gonna link all of that down below so y'all can go watch those videos. On my website, my blogging website, setyourbeautystandard.com. You can find all of that under Royally Set Girl Chat. So moving on, today's topic of our first episode of Love Inscribed is all about who are we now versus who we were then. So I thought of this topic because relationships involve a lot of growing and working. And I know for me, I'm definitely not the same that I was when I started the relationship, before I met him, versus how I am now. What about you? Feel that way?
Yeah, pretty much the same.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We got some questions that we're going to answer. I don't know his answers. He doesn't know my answers. We both know the questions, but we haven't talked about our answers beforehand. So when you watch this is us sitting here answering them right in front of y'all with real answers, not rehearsed, none of that. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Question number 1. How did you approach this relationship differently than previous relationships?
You want me to answer first?
You want me to answer first?
You can answer first.
All right. So I've always lived my life believing that I fell under the nice guys finish last narrative. I've had quite a few different interesting experiences with women. Of course, anybody will tell you I'm not the one to, just put everything on the women I've been with in the past. It does take two to tango and to make a relationship work. So I'll take accountability for my parts too. But overall, I just found myself being done wrong, cheated on, things like that. So because of those things, I just spent more time in my singleness, which I was single for 4 years before I met Special. So I just focused on being the best person I could be as a human being, listening to God's voice more, following God's plan for my life, and not really being pressed about relationships at all. Just making sure I'm being who I need to be. So if somebody does come into the picture, I can be there for them the way I should. So once Special came along, I just kind of told her up front, hey, this is where I'm at. My goal is for my next relationship to be my last relationship, meaning that it should lead towards marriage. So if that's not a goal for you, if that's not something you want, then let's just not waste each other's time, man. But we agreed to move towards that goal. We're still moving towards that goal. So here we are a year later.
So what you're different was what? Just
so in the past, I wasn't as intentional about making sure things were being done the right way. I kind of allowed a lot of things that I shouldn't have. I didn't speak up in areas where I should have spoken up because I assumed a lot of things without asking the right questions or getting the right information. So now I'm more vocal, I ask questions, and I don't assume, because we know what assumption makes you look like.
Okay. And for me, I think I was a lot more laid back than I would have been. I was still intentional with dating Mitch, but as a woman, if you're a woman out there, you know that we can be pressed on well, he ain't doing this, he didn't do this right. Well, what are we reading into behaviors and actions and words and finding things that's not even really there with hopes of thinking that it's going to turn into a relationship. All that. I've been her, she was me, I'm not her anymore. So that's how I was different with this relationship. I kind of was just chill, and I understood that if he wanted it to be something, he would make it known that he wanted it to be something more, and then I could act accordingly. Because there was a moment, we ain't gonna get into that, where I could have easily tripped out and been like, oh, next, on to the next one. But I didn't. I was just, okay. If he want to talk, he'll talk, he'll reach out, all that kind of stuff. But you can find out more about that, like I said, in those royally set episodes that I'm going to leak at the bottom of this.
And no, there weren't any extra women involved. I was only talking to her. Thank you. Number 2. In what ways have you grown from our first date until now? You go first this time.
What ways have I grown? Who came up with these questions?
Not me.
Let's see. From our first date, if I'm being honest, I feel like I was more, which we'll get to this question later, but I feel like I was more patient and more supportive on the first date. And as you like to say, I extended more grace in the beginning of the relationship than I do now. So that's probably but that's just you may not feel that way, but that's just how I feel. I have like, I don't know, I just feel like I have like bigger expectations of you versus in the beginning. Not to say I didn't have expectations for you, but I didn't, because it was new, and I knew we were both like trying to feel things out and figure things out. But it's like now, which we've had these conversations where it's like I have expectations now, and as you like to say, I could extend you more grace. But on the positive note, I feel like my communication, I'm working on it and getting better at communicating. I feel like we both are on that. And then I feel like just within the last couple weeks, I have worked on my patience. You may not know it yet, but inside my brain, I've worked on my patience.
Okay.
What about you?
Your work is appreciated. For me, my biggest battle I guess that I fought that I've never really said anything about, is like just not doing the typical good guy thing, like being who I really am. Not to say that I'm being fake, but in the past, I had struggled to be myself, kind of walked on eggshells in past relationships and things like that because of the responses I would get from the people I was with. But I just challenged myself to be authentically who I am. And I was like, if this girl really loves me, even in my wrongs, she'll be able to accept me and, move forward with me, whether that's addressing the things that I may do right or wrong in a space of love. And then, helping me to figure out what better ways to approach certain things moving forward. So for me, it was just like not putting on that facade in a way, but really being who I am, not just doing the good guy stuff, but still knowing you're a good guy even when you make mistakes. So
that's how you grow.
Yeah. Question number 3, and I'll answer this first. At what moment did you know you were falling in love? I was the first to say I love you in this relationship. Shouts out to the men who know, you feel me? But so prior to meeting Special, I had an older cousin who encouraged me to start a prayer journal and to write a prayer down to God about the type of woman I wanted to do life with. Getting rid of the superficial stuff and really focusing on the things I knew I would need to keep me motivated and inspired and just moving forward in life. And so I wrote out a prayer, and once me and Special's relationship was actually steady, I kind of revisited that prayer journal one day, and when I read the prayer, I was just like, oh my God. Like, I already knew I was like falling for her, but just having that confirmation from everything I wrote in that prayer journal coming into fruition through her, like, it was just the icing on the cake for me. So I knew she was the one. So that's how, I knew that I was really falling in love with her. So I made sure even in that moment that I was still like accountable and doing what I needed to do. Cause I'm like, I got a good one. I ain't trying to mess this up. So, this is what I asked for. I asked God for this. So I got to make sure I handle it with care. So that's how I knew.
Oh, it's my turn. For me, I feel like, I talked about all this, of course, in the video I've referenced before, but I feel like, I don't know, it was one day, he's a talker, and he would say a lot of things, but it would be things that I was thinking already. And it's like, I mentioned like confirmation. I was constantly receiving confirmation and stuff. And so he would say a lot of stuff, and I can't remember what day it was or at what point. We were still dating. We weren't, well, no, we was in a relationship. Like, we had made it official. And I remember we were having some kind of conversation, because you was in the kitchen, and then you was like, you asked me, you was like, you sound like are you falling in love or something? You asked me something, and it's like my heart just dropped, and I was like, how did he know?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember
what
what we were talking about. It was because you was like, you had been talking to Preston, and he was like, he was telling you something about where it sounded like you falling for a guy, man or something. And then I don't know what conversation we was having, but basically it was a lot of stuff like, I just knew that I was supposed to be with you, because literally anything that I was thinking and I hadn't said or voiced to you, you would always say it, and I'd be like, you need to get out of my head. Like, how does he know? How does he know everything? And there was one time where it was like, this was before we made it official, where you were like, about you were going to be patient, and then that you knew that I was probably just nervous or scared. So I was like, how does he know everything? Like, that's how I was. And I was like, I'm just supposed to be with him, because like, he just is it. I don't know. Throughout everything, like I said, it was confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. Even if it was just little things, as like I mentioned, you knowing exactly how I was feeling or what was in my head. Even the first, like I told you about the impromptu first date, like, because I had already been thinking like, oh, like, well, mate, and I'm just talking to you, I'm not even looking at the camera, but like, maybe he'll want to like get lunch, or not lunch, but dinner or something, since he has to come through here. But I wasn't going to ask you that. Yeah. And then when you said it, I was like, he's in my head again. I was like, okay, because it's like, you want to be with somebody who's like thinking the same things or wants to do the same things that you do, and it's like always been that way with you from day one, except for that little time when you disappeared. But yeah, that was long.
Question number 4. It's easy to begin a new relationship thinking that you were ready and had done all the internal work. How do you feel about that now at 1 year?
Oh, I go first this time. Before getting into a relationship, I definitely thought that I had made a lot of like progress. Like, it was like, yeah, like, I'm ready now. Like, I had done all of the self-evaluation and critiqued my own behaviors and causes or wrongdoings in past relationships, and like, I just understood, like, I'm not perfect, guys want this, they need this too, all that kind of stuff. Like, I thought I had done the work, and of course I knew you're always going to be growing, but getting in a relationship, I definitely didn't realize like just how much more work I still had to do. So my best friend always says, like, your partner is supposed to be like your mirror and reveal to you what areas that you need to grow in or you might not perform as well in, and that's definitely what a relationship is, because it's a lot of revealing going on. I think being that I know I want to be with him forever, I want to do the work, like the internal work, because I want him to be happy and I want him to stay. So it's like, I know that doing the internal work is like an investment for our future. Like, we're building a foundation for the future. So no, I may not like it in the moment, but I know that it has to be done if I want this thing to work. So that's how I feel about it.
I think for me, in the beginning, and I talked about this before with some of my guy friends. So for me, I have this like theory about being ready and being willing. So I feel like in life, you can be ready for certain things, but you might not be willing to go through the process that's going to take place. Or you might have a willingness to go through the process, but you're not ready. So when you're able to be in both of those spaces at the same time, that's when you're putting yourself in a position to flourish. And so that's kind of where I was when we first made that connection. I had been single for 4 years. I had already been growing, doing work. God was opening doors for me. So I just felt like he was rewarding me for my diligence and for my obedience. So I was ready for a relationship, definitely. And I was with somebody who I was willing to go through the process with. And so, that's still the same now. Obviously, like Special said, certain circumstances and situations arise that cause us to reveal things to one another, or there are things revealed within ourselves. Some things good, some things we still need to make progress in. But like I always tell her, like, there's nobody I would rather go through the mud with or go through those moments with than her, because regardless of what's happening, like, we can have a spat. It might take us a little minute to actually have a conversation about whatever the spat is, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, I still love you, I still want you, oh, I want you too. So that just goes to show, we just have a strong spiritual foundation too. We spend a lot of time focusing on how God wants us to function as a couple, and that's really what's going to make this thing continue to last. So,
there we go.
Question 5. When we first started dating, you thought I was very patient. So the question asks, do I think that I'm patient, and do I think you're patient? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think I'm very patient as a person, because I just realized we're all human. Nobody's perfect. And I went through a season where I put my hope in people, and when people disappointed me, I would get upset with them, not realizing that it's not people's responsibility to make me happy or make me fulfilled. And so once I was able to come to that realization, it really shifted my perspective and how I move in terms of relationships. So for me, even though I might have some kind of expectation in my head, I don't make that the foundational principle as to whether our relationship is still gonna be in effect or not. I understand we're human. I'm flawed, just like everybody else is flawed. So who am I to, judge or put somebody in a position where our relationship has to be compromised because they disappointed me? That's not how life works. And so I try to carry that over in every facet of life, especially in our relationship. So I do think I tend to be the more patient one at times. Do I think you're patient? You have grown. I feel like I think a lot of your impatience comes from misunderstandings or miscommunications. So it's when you said this, I felt like this, and you're like, no, that's not what I meant when I said it, but that's how you took it. So it's basically we just find out that intention versus perception is real. I can say something and intend it in a certain way, and she can take it in a negative way, and she's upset. And then I'm looking what's wrong? Let's talk about it. But she's not in the mood to talk, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So I think it's just about making sure that you're growing to be more intentional in how you communicate, which is one of the biggest key factors of relationships, period. But you have made a lot of growth in your patience. So I love you for that. You know what I'm saying? It makes things easier sometimes when you can have somebody work on their patience. Sometimes being impatient can become a bigger issue, but we know how to work through things, so it's not that big of an issue.
Okay. Yeah.
But I kind of feel like there's this generational dynamic that the happy wife, happy life thing, it's ingrained in the male to be the patient one. We have to be the patient one, because it's if the woman's not happy, everything's in jeopardy. The relationship can end if the woman's not happy. So things that we could address, no matter how big or small, sometimes we don't even address it, because either one, we feel like it's not that deep, or two, it just prohibits us from having additional things to put on the table.
And I think it is broader than that. than the happy wife, happy life thing, because I think a lot of it boils down to the fact that women have high expectations for men to do things like lead, provide, all of that. Like that's what. So I think that's what drives the whole us being patient versus impatient, because it's like we have these fixed expectations that that's what we're supposed to be getting, and when we get instances where it's like, okay, well, is he gonna be able to do this or is he not? And especially with the millennial dating world and stuff, the whole like, I don't want to waste my time thing going on, which that's not what my patience mostly comes from, just the either the expectation part or just me being me, just wanting things. Like, it's easy to expect people to handle and respond to things the way you would, and it's like something that I constantly have to work on. Like, it's easy for me to do that with my friends, but in a relationship where it's like just me and you, and I'm supposed to be building a life with you and like the foundation, like you're closer to me than everybody else is gonna be, so I can expect them to not do this or to respond or live or whatever to their standards, whereas like me being so tied to you, I'm like, well, why isn't he? If that was me, I would respond this way. If it was me, I would respond this. Well, why did he say it like that? Or I would say it like this, because it's like I'm looking at you in a different light than I would other people, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where my patience is, where I have to like work on it.
Yeah, and I think, and this will be my last comment, but I know after my last relationship, I was talking to my dad and I was like, how do you know that somebody is the one, and this, that, and the third? Like, what happens? You know, everybody's story is different. So he was just like, if I could sum it up, he was like, when you're willing to put yourself last for that person, that's how you know that you're really in love with them and that you're willing to start a life with them. Because he was like, as your dad, I put myself last. I have to put you and your sister plus your mom ahead of me, because I'm that leader and provider and things like that. So like, I took that into consideration going into our relationship. So it's like, you know, if, you know, I feel like if we, whatever would cause me to have to like put myself on the back burner to make sure you straight, I would be willing to do it with no hesitation. So
and then I know we just still on this, but like that's another thing that drew me to you, because like I have the same, like I'm not a man, but I feel like women still have that mentality as women that want to be wives and mothers. Like they're going to have that mentality too, and that's one that I have. Like, I mean, you see how I show up for people when they need me to, and I don't mind if you need something or I'm gonna show up for you too. Like, I don't care.
Right.
But I think that's kind of like what has drawn us to each other, even though like your patience may be higher than mine, our heart is still the same. And I think that's what's the most important part.
Very true. So this is the last question, guys, and it's question number, I can't hold up 6 fingers, but my baby got me 6. All right. It says, what new things have we implemented in this relationship compared to those of our past? So
communicating. Oh, you go first. Oh.
Well, I was going to say something more superficial, but we're really big on like continuously dating. Like, not
that's
just
not superficial.
Well, yeah.
Don't
so we just making
date superficial.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry, but so yeah, we make sure we're continuously dating. Like, we see each other, we visit each other, but we ain't on like no Netflix and chill stuff 24/7. Like, we really trying to like experience new things together. Like, I know one thing I told her is that like I want to be with somebody I can share a lot of firsts with, and so you know. I had never, for example, we went hiking for our 9-month anniversary a couple months back, and I had never been on a hiking trip with a significant other ever in life. Like, I brought that up in past relationships, and they would be like, ain't nobody about to be hiking, da-da-da-da-da-da. But I feel like hiking within itself is a good workout, but it's also very, very metaphorical. Like, and I felt like that hike was very metaphorical for where we at, because the path isn't always clean. Like, there's sticks and rocks and you got to climb, and I would help you up, and you know, you would grab me.
Take some breaks.
Right. So, you know, very metaphorical for just how relationships function, but we made it to the top of the mountain, and we were able to see the beauty that was at the top. So it was fun.
Yeah. On the dating thing, like we do things to well, we first of all we celebrate every how do you say it? Monthly anniversary. Is that what, yeah? Every month we would celebrate, like it's our 1 month anniversary, 2 months, all the way up to a year. Hiking was fun, like photo shoots. Also we have a vlog of our 1 year anniversary photo shoot. Link that up above if you haven't seen it already. Check that out because that was fun. But yeah, so we did we did Christmas shoot, which was just like quick little, it wasn't like a photo shoot.
Just holiday pictures for the peoples.
Yeah, and then we did Valentine's Day shoot.
That was lit.
Yeah, that was really fun. And
got
those
a lot
pictures
of good
came
responses.
out great. I might actually try to put I'll enter some little photos from the Valentine's Day shoot and Christmas shoot so y'all can see it. But you can follow us on Instagram and see all of our pictures and our 1 year anniversary pictures when they drop too. I'll put our names down below so y'all can follow us. But yeah, I always wanted to do that, take pictures with my significant other, and then just do things. Like you said, like we stay busy, like doing things. It's hardly ever where, unless it's like if I'm working or something or during the week, then of course we just like chilling. But usually weekends, when I'm off on the weekends, we're doing stuff. Yep. Kind of busy. So
she became a plant mom during quarantine, so I would be at Home Depot getting new pots because she would have to repot her plants because they were growing so efficiently.
Yeah, like what else? Like we just find stuff to do.
I also think
painting.
True.
Yeah.
I think
go ahead.
Another factor, definitely like you said, communication. That's something that has come through ups and downs, and just us sharing how we like to be spoken to, tone, all those different things, just delivery overall of the things we want to share, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, and whether it's personal things, aspects of our family dynamics, because that's something we talked about, because that's important when it comes time for us to get married. How do we want our family to function, so.
Yeah. And then during the devotions and stuff, although someone didn't finish theirs.
I'll get on it, guys.
But doing that is definitely something I didn't have in previous relationships. So I enjoy having that aspect. It's been a lot, but a lot of it all circles around communicating, communicating expectations, communicating about future, like what we want the future to look like, what future expectations will be like, all of that.
And I think I probably met your family faster than anybody else I've been with.
I definitely met your family faster than anybody. Like, granted, like our timeline, like
it's pretty quick.
Was fast. Yeah. Like it's like when it sounds cliche when people be like, well, you know. Like I think this is literally like a prime example of when you know, because we probably dated, I'm gonna say a smooth 3 weeks.
But it's really uncommon because we're not in a situation where we knew each other prior to any of this. I know people who went to school together, reconnect, all this stuff. Like we were literally strangers. And for us to come together as quickly as we did and even have our families embrace one another the way they have, like it's just been a beautiful experience. Like I love it, man. Like when her mom calls, she'll be like, where my son-in-law at? I'll be like, hey, mom.
Yeah, like literally.
Vice versa.
That I never had that experience, like especially like being embraced by my significant other's parents and like family, and like having them actually like, of course I've been asked about, like nobody dislikes me, but it's just like on this level. And at first it was like I was taken aback because I was just so not used to it. I was just like, well, this is so different. But I mean, I enjoy it, but it still was just, at first I was just like, okay, well, this is different. It's nice different, but it's like I don't know how to respond to it yet.
Yeah.
I had to grow into it, and now it's like they're my Facebook friends. His mom sends me messages, be like, I miss seeing your face, like stuff like that. Like I'm definitely not used to any of that, but those are all like signs where you're in a relationship you're supposed to be in. Like
Right.
when it's like, even though we say like it's some work, like that's the internal work, the things that a relationship is work. You have to work to make it to continue to function. But it's been easy, like
Right.
easy. Like when I tell y'all we dated, I feel like a smooth 3 weeks, maybe 2.5, and then we were just in a relationship. You remember? I don't even think I told him. Remember? Cause we was in the car. I had took a day off, and you wanted me to be your girlfriend, but I hadn't said
Yes.
yes
Oh,
yet. Yeah. And then I called my mom, and you was in the car, and I was like, oh, where were we? Went to the store or something. We was in Durham somewhere, and then she was like, oh, you with a guy? And I was like, yeah. I was like, this is my boyfriend, and you looked at me like. Yeah, I dropped a bomb on him, and I was like, yo, he my boyfriend. She was like, what? So, and then after that, you went and you called, I think you just when you called your parents, and then I met his parents on FaceTime. And then from there, it was like, even after our first date, the impromptu date, like we saw each other, or have seen each other pretty much every weekend. Like we might have missed 2 or 3 weekends in a whole year.
Yeah, and I mean, we live an hour away, and I think that was a little more of a concern for Special.
I ain't want no long distance relationship.
Because I know in my previous relationship, I lived in Durham, and my previous girlfriend lived in Fayetteville, which is like an hour and a half. So I'm a road dog. I travel. I'm always on the grind, like driving somewhere. So, I mean, most people know I be on the road. So I didn't see it as an issue, but I just wanted to be consistent. And seeing her to reassure her that like distance really isn't, first of all, it's not as far as you think, but it's really not that big of a factor as you think either. So
no, we've used our time wisely.
Yep.
And haven't missed a beat. It don't even feel like it's long distance, because when I tell you he's here every weekend, or even sometimes during the week, depending on if he has things for work or school related up this way.
Oh, that was different too. When we first dated, Special was finishing up her master's degree program, and now I'm just wrapping up my first semester of my master's degree program. And I know there were moments where like I might wanted to like hug her or be up in her face, but she had schoolwork to do. But I'm one of those guys, like as long as I'm just able to see you, I'm good. You know what I mean? And I know when I had first told Special I wanted to do grad school, she was definitely supportive. But then when it really resonated, she was like, are we still gonna be able to see each other? And da-da-da-da. And I was like, babe, like I would bring my work to your house, even if it's just to be around you. You know what I mean? And I'll carve out time where, despite how long I gotta study, that we talk or go out and eat or do whatever we gotta do. But yeah, man, she's been super supportive. And if everything goes according to plan, your boy should have a 4.0 this semester. So I'm thoroughly impressed with myself and her support. Yeah.
But it's been a lot of different things in this relationship, a lot of good different things. And I'm looking forward to continuing to add to the list.
Oh yeah.
And definitely, even this is different, us having this series. I remember he wanted us to get on like a YouTube channel and stuff a while back, and I would be like, no. And now here we are.
Yeah. I wanted a YouTube channel, but not like all the other couples where they doing pranks and all this stuff. Like, we just really want to reassure our generation that this narrative that there's no good men out there or there's no good women out there is false. It does require a lot of internal work, and I think that's the biggest part. Like, people don't want to do the work within themselves before they commit to being with another human being, and you will end up being the toxic person. And I can say I've been the toxic person before. Not that I did anything specifically wrong per se, but I didn't do the inner work first. And so, like, to quote one of my favorite rappers, Lupe Fiasco, the only enemy is the inner me. So you got to make sure that you're doing what you need to do in here, and then it'll manifest out there.
And then also making sure you're not using other people's relationship as a blueprint for your own, because that is just going to send you downhill. Because number one, people are only going to post and talk about the good things. So you don't know what's really going on behind closed doors.
Right.
And then number two, what works for them won't work for you because you got different love language, different personalities, different childhood rearing, and if you had trauma, like all that stuff factors in. So you can't be sitting there looking at what Jane and John over there doing and you over here trying to do it with Paul. That ain't gonna work.
Right.
Hey, Paul. Well, Kiki's here, y'all.
This is our child. Say hey, Kiki.
She just all over the place.
What's up, baby? Well, we appreciate each and every one of you guys who have taken the time out of your day to be with us, to get some feedback and to learn more about how our relationship is being inscribed, man. So, as the boyfriend, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, so thank you for watching our first episode of Love Inscribed. We hope that y'all are able to enjoy the conversation, the candid conversation, because like I said, we didn't sit here and rehearse or plan out anything. We just talked, and like even in between recording, we both said like this is good because it's like it's good for us because we get to have conversations that we wouldn't really think to just sit and have on the couch. Like we're actually sitting there and forcing ourselves to talk about some of the stuff we hadn't talked about before. So it was good for us. We hope it was good for y'all. We try to get y'all some more videos like these, maybe every other week. I don't want to make any promises though.
Well, when they come, you'll know.
Yeah, because there's this thing called editing.
And it'll be good
So, yeah.
stuff.
But be on the lookout for future episodes from us for Love Inscribed, and then future videos from me about my hair, of course, and makeup and anything else that I have going on. Also some vlogging. I'll try to do more vlogging with him. Anything else you want to add?
Love y'all, man.
Yep. So thank y'all for watching, and we will see y'all soon.
Peace.